Hello everyone and welcome back to the Riverview Metropolitan Area. So in the most recent episode we developed a new district here in the southern parts of East Riverview, creating a sort of historical row house district with a public housing community nearby. We added a small lake to make it a bit cozy because there's a lack of coziness here since the history is that the interstate here, when it was built, pretty much destroyed a large segment of this historic row house. And we see that as we move down alongside these lanes closer to the interstate, we have a few empty lots where there's just a few bushes and some trash lying around, very low property prices and a bit of crime as well. We also created a very simple custom tram station just to serve this area and give it easy access to East Riverview downtown. I imagine that gentrification is moving in here and the city is actually trying to revitalize the area. We also tried to fix some traffical issues, most notably the intersection we had here. We are on the eastern skirts of the city of New Chelsea. We had some very basic intersections here and I created this absolute monstrosity, which works, but I did encourage you guys to send me suggestions if you had some improvements. I've received a ton of emails, so I just want to thank you guys so much for all that. I'm gonna be reading through them and see if there are some easy improvements I can make here. Now for this episode we are gonna move north all the way up here to Northport, more specifically this side of the riverbank opposing the port, where we'll be building a massive coal power plant. And as soon as I teased that, quite a few of you suggested that I build the nuclear power plant instead. It is a very nice, cool looking asset, and obviously it's a more clean form of energy, even though we are building clean coal. You guys gotta remember that it's clean coal we are building here. But I did some researching into the nuclear power plant, and there are a couple of reasons for why we won't be implementing that just yet. So one reason is that the upfront cost is massive. This shouldn't be an issue because we're completely swimming in money, but the hourly and monthly maintenance cost is just gigantic as well. And I fear that we're getting the economy 2.0 patch soon TM. I think it's just around the corner, and this should change up the economy of Riverview substantially. I'm not even sure the city is profitable with the new patch, so I'm gonna hold off on introducing the nuclear power plant for one, because of the massive costs associated with it, but also because it is kind of overkill given the current size of Riverview. If we check our electricity tab here, we see that currently with about 110,000 people, the city requires or consumes 179 megawatts. I assume that's what this figure is. So we need a solution, but the nuclear power plant produces 1,000 megawatts. So it's completely overkill. I think the coal power plant produces around 300-ish, in that range, which I think is much more suitable. It's going to satisfy all our demands for at least the many coming episodes as we continue to grow the city, and it's probably gonna be really cool to detail up as well. Because what I imagine is that placing it here, we'll be able to create a dedicated dock for ships to bring in the coal, but we'll also be able to expand the rail line here and create like a massive rail yard here as well, so that there are two methods of transportation whereby the coal power plant can satisfy its need for clean coal. Now, before we tear up this lot and begin this massive new industrial development, there are a couple of things we need to do first. Here's a reminder to like this video if you enjoy my content. Yeah, very smooth plug. It really helps out though, so I'm gonna say it each and every time. I have to give a name to this district here in southern East Riverview, and I think there are a ton of great suggestions. I just want to thank you guys so much. I really like this one, Crown Park, and I like the reasoning as well. It's a name that, given how the interstate here completely demolished much of the fabric of this historic neighborhood, Crown Park is a name that's a little nicer than the area currently is, though it is revitalizing. So I'm gonna go with Crown Park. I really enjoy that one. Although obviously I'll have to create the district first, because we've got this massive East Riverview district, which I initially just created to be able to kind of track how the city would develop as opposed to Riverview, but I think it's time we get some actual districts in here. I know I could use Anarchy and create districts within districts, and I may try that in some of our more rural areas, but I'm a little worried it might cause some issues down the line, so I'm gonna refrain from that here. And just reduce the size of this original district here, and just gonna rename it to East Riverview Downtown, as that's pretty much what this district is gonna be. I'm just gonna pause, because something I need to be careful of though is that East Riverview, as much as possible at least, pretty much functions as a separate city from Riverview and New Chelsea. Which means it has dedicated services, its own police department for one, and these services are assigned to actually police here, so they won't actually serve other areas. So I'll just need to be careful about this, because as we create new districts here, I'll need to make sure that the local services will actually service them. Although I guess realistically, if this is a bit of a troublesome issue or troublesome area, then maybe some services won't actually service them. Anyways, we are reducing the size. Alright, so this is the configuration we've ended up with. Just going to enable the district overlay here. Downtown East Riverview, pretty much a square here surrounding the most dense areas. Got a couple of custom named areas, but otherwise all of these names are obviously subject to change. A couple of districts here, pretty much, you know, aligned through the major roads or arterials, and then I've just made sure some of them have some awkward and fun shapes. They're probably smaller than like most real life districts or neighborhoods, but it is Cities Skylines. Everything has to be slightly smaller in scale to add a bit of character, I guess. The next important thing, of course, is to ensure that the East Riverview services will actually cover these districts. So I'm just gonna go through and make sure that they'll patrol. Let's see, we've got East Riverview PD here. Where is it located? Right in downtown, so that's perfect. Select operating districts. Oh, this is odd. So obviously I want to serve everything on this side of the river. So we're just gonna mark that up, but then apparently these areas fall into the jurisdiction of East Riverview Police Station. I'm not so sure about that, so I think I'm gonna remove coverage here. This should fall under New Chelsea instead. So yeah, I'm gonna move through and do this for all these areas, because I don't want weird coverage out here, and then of course we may need to actually just add more services as we move along. So let's move on to the high school, and yeah, sorry, the elementary school, and yeah, obviously this is an issue, right? The school is full and it's not even serving all of these areas. So I think we're gonna need to at least create a rural elementary school out here, and then we can kind of split up their coverage areas so that the East Riverview Elementary School located here, which is actually on the college campus ground, but yeah, whatever, will serve the actual city areas. And then if you're a rural kid, you'll have your own school out here that you'll attend. All right, I've fixed it all up. Make sure that the East Riverview services cover East Riverview and its rural communities. If you're running where the Riverview Incineration Plant coverage went, I don't want the incineration plant to cover districts. It needs to cover the entire city, so that's why I removed it. I guess this explains why some people don't get any garbage pickups. Anyways, that should hopefully be fixed now. This configuration is likely going to put extra stress on the Riverview Incineration Plant, which already has all the 50 vehicles in use. So it's probably time to add this garbage truck depot extension. How much does that? Oh, it's actually a 50% increase. So I'm still expecting all 75 vehicles to actually get out there and collect some garbage, but Hopefully this is gonna hold up. Yeah, 62. It's going fast now. I don't think we need the storage extension. We are in a pretty good spot here, but we'll have to monitor, because with more vehicles in place on the roads and more, like, all the areas now to actually service, then of course we're gonna have more trash here. Let's build a coal power plant. So let's move up here. Like I said, I think the shoreline is absolutely perfect. It will allow for several modes of transportation for all our delicious coal needs. Obviously, we'll need to do a bit of cleanup at first, because this asset is huge. So even this highway can't stay. There wouldn't be enough space here to fit in the coal power plant. So we'll get rid of all this, and I'll have to reroute the highway, potentially even parts of this railway. But I'm hopeful that we've got enough space here so that we can keep this stretch here leading into the city, and then we can just sort of create some off branches of it, so that we can get a localized railyard here, and we'll use lots of props and stuff to detail it. Should be a lot of fun. And then we're gonna need to flatten this area, and not respect the topography, because we need a big flat area for this. So if we open our terraforming tools and go for the level terrain tool, then we can see that the height here is 669, and that's the same over here. So I think it's probably wise we just go for the same, even though I would love for the like the water to be just a little higher here. But yeah, the water mechanics or simulation can be a little finicky, so I have to be careful with any changes I make. So I think if we just go for 669, let's just do that. So I'm just gonna right click to set that as my height, and then I'll need to check up, because there's you guys can probably see that the water is it's at a higher elevation up here, 30 meters almost, due to the nature of this map, where the river follows downstream. So I'll have to be careful with where I do my terraforming, because obviously if I terraform a place where the water level is actually higher, we're gonna have a flooding issue. But that doesn't really seem to be an issue right around this area here, where we intend to place the coal power plant. And if we can, we might fit in some related industries as well, create a few more jobs here. We are looking to expand Riverview quite substantially in the future, now that we are able to probably grow the city. But I'm just flattening this out here just to get an idea of the placement. And there's a pretty natural limitation here where I can't flatten this, and that's because we've got these paths here, of course, for major container ships, and it's quite a busy river harbor here, so it needs quite a bit of space. So that's an obvious limitation we'll have to work around. But we're starting to get a good plot of land here to place the power plant. So if I'm not completely wrong, I actually need to unlock this. I've got so many points. Not sure why I don't just unlock everything, but I guess it's okay to kind of just unlock things we need. Let's see. Coal power plant. Oh my. What a chunky boy. So where's the road connection is turning west currently. So I think the southern portion of the power plant you can see right now is where we will have some of the coal stacks. So ideally I want that to be close to the river, so that we can have cargo ships actually deliver the coal to the power plant. So I think I'm just gonna try and place it like this, and then we'll just assess and have a little look. Yeah, so we've got the cargo area here, and there's a major upgrade you can do to add an additional turbine, but that does remove this coal storage area. We can of course actually add our own, which we are going to probably around here, because that's going to be supplied by our rail lines primarily. Because remember, I kind of want rail and ship traffic to supply our coal needs. I think that would be really cool and complex to build as well. So I'm probably going to add this extension, and I'm not going to add the extra turbine, at least not for now, because once again, part of the reasoning I'm going for the coal power plant is that it would be kind of excessive to use the nuclear power plant because it provides so much electricity. It's way above our demand. But I think for now, I'm pretty happy with this placement here. I am just going to try and bring the terrain real close. And that actually looks pretty good. There's an integrated path here as part of the asset. So if I'm lucky, I can just surface paint some of this so that it looks like a key wall, basically. Alternatively, I can start by just adding a pedestrian path to see if I get a more, steep decline here for the key, because otherwise it might end up looking a little weird. So fortunately, the snapping is going to work in my favor here, as I can snap the path to basically each corner of this lot, which is very, very nice. And I'm just going to move up here. I don't want too much of an inlet here because I'm very scared of the water physics, because there is quite a lot of currents coming from up here, so I can easily end up flooding things. And you guys won't believe how many issues I've had with trying to manage the water level here in the port. And we do have a bit of a funky setup. Like I had to kind of create this bypass here, and I had to establish a small dam as well, and a dam here. And yeah, it quickly gets a little muddy and hard to control on a map like this, where you don't have a constant water level, which is definitely something I'll be doing for my next project. But oh well. We'll add the coal storage yard. Probably I can't go further out than this, and I'm assuming it's because we've got the actual path here, so I can't really encroach on this too much. But I think that's fine. I just need enough space to potentially have a pedestrian path. I think I'll just be placing it here, and then we're just gonna increase or rather extend the pedestrian path. Once again, I'm not really sure if we're gonna have these paths, or I'm just gonna terraform right up to the actual asset and see how that behaves. But I think for now I'm gonna implement it, because it's gonna be a little harder to retrofit afterwards. Anyways, let's try and bring in the level here a little closer. So I am worried that this is too much of an inlet, but it would be cool to kind of have some infrastructure here of some sort, or add a bit of extra complexity at least. And here we're just gonna bring it real close. I don't expect that to give us any issues. Yeah. When I say that, it's usually famous last words, but we'll see. We'll see how this all works out. I'll of course get rid of all these trees. There are no use for nature here. It is a clean coal power plant, so it's gonna be very beneficial for the surrounding nature, obviously. But yeah, we're gonna get rid of the trees here. And I think it's safe to say by now that we are also gonna move in with the better bulldozer and select the remove sub elements, so that I can just get rid of these bushes and these rocks here. I'm not quite sure what's gonna be here, but I'm probably gonna pave that with some kind of surface, make it a little more grimy. I don't think it makes a ton of sense to have this stretch of grass and bushes if we have a cargo ship placed here for loading, or offloading rather, unloading the coal. So I think we can keep this horrible attempt at adding just a tiny bit of landscaping to make this a little more cozy. Not sure it works, but oh well. And I think this is a pretty good start. Now I wonder if I can create a better looking key wall by maybe utilizing the paths here and then just lowering them with move it. So if I create, I don't, oh yeah, wait a minute. I'm just gonna terraform, because I don't want it to have a key wall. I just want it to be a normal path that I'm gonna put real close and then use move it to lower, basically. That is what I want. So I'm just gonna pause, grab the path here, make sure there's no connection, move it real close, and then whoops, yeah, I hit N or M, sorry. And then I'm just gonna select everything up and try and lower this. And obviously I don't want it to cause any issues here on the other side, so I'm wondering if by moving it out a bit. Oh yeah, I deselected it. If I move it out a bit, I might just be able to get something that looks nice. So if I just select this and move it out so that we don't have any clipping in here, and then lower it. Ooh, I am creating a pretty nice looking wall right now. So if I just lower it to about here, and then we move in with some terraforming, then I'm very curious to see how this actually looks. I'm gonna see if the waves go crazy now. Not too crazy. And that actually, I mean, that actually looks pretty good. Better than before, at least. So I think I'm just gonna move through and try and do this with the rest of these areas. But right before I do any of all this detailing stuff, I am just gonna quickly connect this guy up so that we can actually harvest all the energy. So we'll just go for a really rude connection at first. Very, very fancy. And then let's see, we will connect up this main power line to the existing network, I think. Because this external network is connected to the city through several transformer stations, and this should also allow us to export the excess electricity, which there should be. Yeah, this is going so great. Which there should be quite a bit of. So let's just let the simulation run for a bit. I'm just gonna check. And our production capacity is now higher than our consumption. So in just a second, I expect our imports to flip to exports. Presumably it just needs to register. There we go. And we're now importing almost as much as the entire city is using. Very nice. And I think that's why I preferred the coal power plant, at least for now. Like I said, if Riverview really turns into a massive city, or we just go crazy at some point in time, we might get the nuclear power plant as well. But I think for now, this is it's pretty good. Working at not full efficiency, but we don't have enough employees at all yet. And this count is probably higher than vanilla because I'm using the realistic density mod, I assume, which should change employee counts for all service buildings, as well as most businesses in the city. But things are looking really nice now, and we don't have to keep things paused anymore. Although we did lose an external connection, which is a bit sad. But we're gonna connect all that up, don't worry. Okay, so I've actually opted for a bit of a different solution because using the sunken paths were getting a little too glitchy for my taste. So I was starting to get worried that I might experience some issues down the line. So I've just aligned two paths now real close to each other, upgraded the outer one to a key wall segment, and then that should allow me to just move in here and we get a decent looking key wall. It's not perfect by any means, but I just want to do something else than the, you know, let's see, the alleys that I usually just use. Even though it probably makes sense to have trucks here or whatever, but I mean, we can customize this as we move on. Like I said, we're gonna do a pretty good amount of detailing here because it is it's a very, very big complex. It's a focal point of this area of the city. So it deserves a bit of extra love when it comes to the detailing. But I think for now, we've got a decent solution here, just using the double stacked paths to ensure that we've got a pretty good looking key wall all around. Ooh, this is looking pretty good. I'll do some additional terraforming now because we gotta fit in some rail now, and this is gonna be exciting. I think this is going to add a lot of character to this build, so I am just going to try and create a very smooth slope up until around this point, I guess, something like that. Make it as smooth as possible, a transition downhill here, and obviously here I'm just gonna have to have a bit of a harsher transition. Probably upgrade this to a key wall. Yeah, maybe actually just bring this in real close so we've got space for the rail down here. Obviously I'll need to connect up here somewhere as well, so I'm going to slope my way up. And I mean, this is cargo rail, so there are some limitations I have to abide by, slope wise, like percentage wise, stuff like that. But I think for starters we're just gonna do this and then maybe upgrade this to a key wall segment. Just like that. And then we need to actually get the rail in here. So what I was thinking is I want this to be fed by rail and this to be served by the ship. And we're gonna place a cargo ship prop here or two, which should look really cool and add to the look we're going for. But starting with the rail, we're gonna use these two-way train tracks, and I think I'm gonna use a couple of double tracks. Maybe let's see if we can get a decent, yeah, there's a pretty good opportunity here to get, how close can we go to the actual compound? Gonna disable these two options as they are just gonna cause issues, but we can move real close with our rail here. And let's see, to about here I think. Then I'm going to disable parallel mode so I can just kind of continue this one. Let's enable some contour lines so the hill starts around here. And how much elevation is that? 5%. It's actually way too much. That is way too much. We are gonna need something better than that. So let's just flatten this area here and maybe just place something to kind of mark it. And then we'll go with the slope terrain tool. So 708 meters, and I can actually see the elevation here. I think if I start all the way down here, it's going to be less than 4%, which is not ideal for freight, that's probably too much. We're probably looking at like 2% realistically, but I think it's about as good as it's going to get here without like really major terraforming. So I think we're just going to do this, and then I'm going to see if I can bring this up. And I actually never knew that the slope terraforming tool would show the actual elevation in percentage. That's a very cool feature. We're just gonna bring it up here and then focus our attention down here. So I'm gonna use these two-way train tracks, these single train tracks. How close can they be with parallel tool? Pretty darn close, especially if we use move it to configure a bit more. Let's just start by doing this. I am wondering though if I should just go full custom mode, enable Anarchy, and just add some train tracks like really close in here. I might actually just do that. I think I'm gonna try and do that. Hopefully it's not gonna cause any issue. So if we remove the fencer, this sub element, bring up our train track again, disable parallel mode, and then we should be able to enable Anarchy. And I need to find something to snap to. Maybe just snap like this. Yoink. That is pretty cool. That means we can have the carts, the train cars, sorry, with the coal real close here. And that is probably going to prompt me to also redraw this segment here. Parallel mode. Oh yeah, okay, it wants to snap differently. I guess I can just remove this and then just manually add this. Like so. And then I'm going to, that's not gonna work. I'm gonna add as close as I can snap to, so that's gonna be, come on, here, no, that's too close. Here I guess, and then I'm gonna use move it to just cheat my way to a very condensed setup. And it would be so cool to also have a track here. So we're gonna do that. We're gonna have a track all the way in here as well. Yeah, that's gonna be so nice. And we'll just go bendy. 90 degrees and figure out what we're gonna do here. But this is very, very cool. Oh yeah, I want to use move it to bring these segments closer here. I don't mind initially at least, I don't mind the distance, the smallest distance we can have, or separation rather, between them with the parallel tool. So that's not something I'm gonna change right now. Or is it? Actually bringing it this close is going to be much nicer. Yeah, scratch that. I think I am gonna use move it to just get it much closer. But first I'm going to need a connection here. And since we are working so much with Anarchy, I guess I can be cheeky and actually cut underneath these power lines here and make the smoothest transition here I can, something like that. And then I need to use move it to move these closer before I do anything else. And I guess I just need to check that I can actually connect these up and that I haven't moved everything too close together, causing issues and other stuff. And it would appear that things get a little finicky when I make these close transitions. I wonder if this is even gonna work then. Maybe it's actually just better to have a double train track here instead of these. I mean, if I am going to move them this close, then probably just have doubles connected, because that might enable me to also connect them a little easier. So we're just gonna try that, because then I'm hopeful that with some snapping I'll just be able to connect this up easily, and that works surprisingly well, I guess. I think that's just gonna be my strategy. Use these double tracks, move them close with move it, and then just connect them by use of single tracks. So I think we've got a pretty good starting railway layout now, so that we can get on with some detailing. Like I said, one thing I want to do is add some surfaces here, but I'm just going to remove some of these rocks, some of these sub-elements we've got laying around. They're a bit hard to spot, and they'll probably be a little more visible when we add the surfaces. And my initial idea was just to expand the existing surface here, which is some type of pavement or concrete, but I think it would be interesting to just add a new one so that we keep this this road here. I guess it's more of a pathway, but actually it's probably a road given how it transitions here to like an actual road. I imagine it's like a road trucks could take, service vehicles, stuff like that. But I think with that said, I'm just gonna find something that's a little darker. It might as well just be this type here. And I'm just gonna see if I can reliably... Yeah, okay, so I'm gonna have to have it in between so that I don't override the current configuration. But I think that's fine. So I'll just need to find a place to start. I think I'll just create like I'm just gonna enable snapping, create a very simple shape here, and then I can just manually adjust it so that I fill in all the edges there. But I think before I do that, I actually want to try and create a bit of a better integration here. So what I'm gonna do is just expand on the existing surfaces here, connect up to this segment here, maybe do the same over here. I think that's gonna look a little better at least. Just doing something like this. And maybe just adding a little additional path here. Yoink. 90 degrees, please. There you go. And then I'll be adding in this pavement surface in between. I changed this texture here to this variation because it's actually what's being used as the surface for this storage area for the coal. So if we see this as like a temporary storage area where the ships can unload before it's being relocated somewhere else, then I think that makes a little more sense. And I think we'll be adding in some custom lines as well, because I actually just noticed that if we grab if we enable the show markers, we can see that we actually do have a path here as part of the coal power plant that I assume trucks mainly take, but I guess it could be any type of traffic. I'm not sure when traffic actually traverse this route here, but I mean it's a very good opportunity for us to just move in and use some road marking net lanes to try and expand this. Now I don't really know what well, I guess those are the ones. I think this is the... Oh, is it I delete this? Is this... Yeah, it's this one. I think it might just be this basic one. So I'm just gonna expand. And it even snaps. At least it looks like it's snapping. And then hopefully I can figure out how to make a decent curve if I create like a straight segment here. All the way over here, we've got snapping enabled. Oh, let's see. That's pretty good. Oh my. I did not expect that to go that well. You know, my track record is a little iffy when trying to align things. So yeah, guess I'm happy. And we'll try to do the same here. Is this gonna be this easy? I don't believe it, but yeah. I think here I need to make like a small segment. And let's just have a look, try and take a look. I mean, that's that's actually pretty good, I guess. Nice. detailing has been done, and I kind of envision this to be like a small extra additional parking space for some of the coal trucks. And I'm pretty hopeful I have the coal truck as an actual prop so that it's not going to drive away and cause any issues. And it's this fittingly black one. So we'll just get a bunch of those parked up here. Oh, it actually comes in a multitude of colors. How nice is that? Just get a few parked right up here. I might add like an additional parking space for these coal trucks down here. But I think something that's going to be even more fun is obviously having the coal cars here. Although having a look the other day, I wasn't actually able to find a coal car for the trains. So I'm not sure if that's just missing or if that isn't actually a thing in game. In fact, let's just open up the dev mode and try and search to see if it's actually a thing. Coal trucks, and I think that's it. Interestingly, we've got these coal piles as well, which I'm pretty confident at one point in time at least we were able to actually place these in game using dev mode, but yeah, I'm not really able to do that anymore. A bit of a shame. It would be really cool to add like some smaller piles around the place, make it a little more custom, but apparently that's not possible. Anyways, I think the oil cars, or these ones are probably a decent replacement for what we want, so it's probably fine. Let's just try and place the ship first though, because I think that's gonna be really fun. We could even place a few if we really want to make it cool looking, but I think, where do we actually place this? Maybe we just place it here. I'm just gonna add one, and maybe I'll add an additional one. Maybe overkill, but feeling it. We're gonna make this a big project. I'm just gonna use move it to elevate it and move it a little closer to this area here. Hopefully it's not gonna cause any issues since it is a prop. Sweet. And we'll do the same thing with this prop, of course. And move it a little closer. Something like that. Oh, that already adds so much. Oh, I keep doing this. Already adds so much extra character. And then we've got the train or car. But I think before I do that, I'm gonna remove the catenaries. Because I imagine that at least the freight trains that deliver coal shipments are diesel powered. Maybe they're coal powered, I don't know. But I think these catenaries are just they're kinda in a way, and when we remove them, we remove all the clutter of all the wires as well. And I think that's a better fit, at least for an industrial area like this. And I think that was all of them, at least along this stretch, and we're gonna leave this as is, and it's starting to look really nice. And the cool thing about these ore cars here is that we should be able to use the fence mode. Let's see, yes, and they're gonna be aligned fairly well. They'll cause some issues if we don't move in like a straight line, but we are, so that's not really a problem. And I'm just gonna find like the central spot here on the tracks, and then we can just drag this out. That is so cool. This is exactly what I wanted, because it's really going to give that really heavy industry vibe out here. And let's just see, I think this is a good start, but we can definitely add a few more just to make it really interesting looking. Get that sweet thumbnail as well. And this is probably pretty good. And it really looks like a super busy place now. Efficiency is increasing as we're slowly filling up the employee requirements are still 184 open positions. So, but yeah, hopefully we'll be able to fix this and we'll see electricity production go up. But I assume that with the incineration plant, we just about cover our consumption needs for Riverview so far, but I'm assuming that with increased efficiency here, as the coal power plant is able to hire more people, things are gonna look even better, and this is gonna help kind of future-proof the city's energy needs, at least for the foreseeable future. So for a bit of extra simple detailing using the picker tool, I find it really easy to just pick some of the props and decals that are already in use within the existing asset. Because these are oftentimes very easy to just align, and a very quick way of just adding a bit of extra detail. And yeah, I guess it just makes it all a little easier. I'm wondering if we can actually go for like a fence mode with these. I mean, we can, but probably not like this. Close enough. And then in this case, they're using these special blue containers for an area such as this. I guess we're just okay. They have different colors, but I guess the cool thing is that we can very easily just put them on top of each other with the new snapping tools. So we'll just have a bit of a random mix here of different types of containers and other stuff, just to add a bit of interest to this area. In general, it's a bit messy. It's not all that well orchestrated, not all of it at least. And we might as well just move in and grab these coal trucks, which we've been using as well. Add in a few of those. Bit of a messy area, I guess, but yeah. I'd like to add at least one other major industrial establishment out here, just to turn this into like a proper industrial site. And we've already terraformed quite a bit here, so I'm thinking we might be able to squeeze in something here. And I was considering the recycling center, although I'll just check what I've unlocked here. I've got the fuel plant, which I might add up here somewhere. And I've got the SwitchCon, which is more of a high-tech, like maybe a semiconductor producer or something. So I think I'm gonna try grab the recycling center here. There's also the industrial waste processing. Oh, I'm just gonna unlock it. And then we'll see. Okay, so we've got a ton of stuff going here. Some of it is custom, these small recycling centers. Scrap metal recycling center, which is also a custom thing. So maybe I'm adding a few different things, but I think the recycling center really fits well. But so does this one. Oh man, this is getting tricky. I guess the recycling center is gonna need easy access to major arterials, because this is for businesses, but also just private persons to discard whatever they need to get rid of. So we might just get the industrial waste processing site built here instead. But I think before I place that, I'm just gonna expand the road network ever so slightly. I'll just be adding an additional road here, and then we'll grab the continuous tool and just go for a 90 degrees here. And I think that's gonna work a little better. Disable snapping, so we got full control over the placement. And so that I can embarrass myself at trying to align this. Let's see. Oh, nice. Any upgrades? No, but it adds another 180 people, or jobs rather, to this area. So I think I'm just gonna use that to make sure I designate a district here. Quite a few workplaces up here now. Anger Bluff. This sounds like a World of Warcraft area, which I don't mind, but it's probably not the right fit. Pretty nice looking asset though. Shame it doesn't have any upgrades or additional buildings we could add, but I think it fits really well with the coal power plant. Yeah. I'm not really sure what happened here. I think it's happened over here as well. I placed a ship here, so I guess the placement of these ship props is kind of finicky. I'll just try and replace it and see if maybe I can place it a bit further away and see if that actually helps. I'm just gonna place it here, I think, and then elevate it, because it is causing a few issues. There you go. And it actually appears that my sewers are backed up. And yeah, my facility back here in New Chelsea is overloaded. I think this is the only wastewater treatment plant I have. I could expand this or up the budget for water services, but I think this is a pretty good opportunity to just get another wastewater treatment plant entirely. So I'm going to make the same weird road configuration here with the small continuous one here, 90 degrees. And I don't know why I'm doing this. It's just to make it look a little different, I guess. And then we can add the wastewater treatment plant. And we're gonna bring it slightly back from the road, just as we did with the other facility. This one is gonna need a bit of alignment, so I'll see you guys in 45 minutes when I fix that. I guess that will do. And then this might be a good opportunity to just check for an upgrade, which would probably be fitting out here. So I think I'm just gonna add it here. And then maybe have an additional parking lot or something like that. Yeah, we might as well just add an additional parking lot. Let's see what we have available to us. A medium parking lot is probably gonna be sufficient. And there you have it. It's suddenly become quite a bit of a job center. 500 positions out here. It really isn't too bad. Okay, never mind. This guy can stay, but yeah, it's not gonna work out here. I'm really not sure why. I wanted to connect up the outside connection again, so I think that's gonna be our next project. And this is becoming quite a busy area. I guess we could actually have the road kind of cut in between the two train lines here, which would be a bit cool, but it would also be cool to just have it as a bridge, kind of cross over here and follow alongside the power lines here. Although we've got it's quite hilly here, and we've already done so much God mode terraforming that maybe I should just kind of refrain from that. So I think we're actually going to grab the two-laner here and just align it right in here next to the train tracks. And I just need to, okay, the connection is up here, so that should be fine. So we'll do something like this, and then we'll enable a simple curve. And let's see, we'll need to go up by, I guess, 7.5 meters to get a decent amount of clearance. Look how nice this looks. And if you think I did it on the first try, I didn't. Yeah, lots of editing here. This took 10 minutes. Let's just move on. Need to connect up to the elevated segment here, and we'll do something very similar. I think first we're just gonna maybe try, well, actually just expand with a regular piece here, and then we'll need elevate to 10 meters or whatever this is. I don't actually know, but I think we're just gonna start like this and then kind of cut into the intersection here, which hopefully it's actually only a small elevation, so that is absolutely perfect. And I might opt for expanding or some of these, upgrading a few of these roads to just allow for a bit of a higher traffic throughput like this. And I'll probably expand this to this type of road as well, although it is complaining instantly of a lack of connections, so we are going to need to do that manually. Probably the same deal with our power line as well. Just connect that down here. Yoink. And that should work just fine. And we'll see just how much traffic we have here, because this is a bit of a weird little intersection we've got now. And there used to be quite a substantial amount of traffic on this outside connection actually. So we're just gonna monitor, see if this is fine. I love how quickly the game registers this. So we've got a... Who is this? Mr. Smith River moving into town or en route to... Oh, he's going through the city. Let's just follow along, see the views. And imagine this being your first sight entering Riverview from this direction. Well, I guess if you're a train guy, it's actually quite the sight. We may remake this road. The location is maybe a bit odd, but yeah, I think for now it works. Anyways, I don't want to do too much detailing of any one particular area in Riverview, as I've said many times before, especially if we are to continue expanding the metro area. So I think for now I'm just gonna move in and see just how much bang for the buck we can get by adding in some decals, some cracks in the pavement, stuff like that. Hopefully that is gonna be sufficient. I've got these new ones, moderately stained decal. Yeah, I guess they are moderately stained. Oh, there's a light stained as well. I may just have to use those because I can tend to go a little light stained, large. Great, I do tend to go a little too much overboard at times, maybe. But there's gonna be a lot of these out here. I mean, it is a proper heavy industry area. So I'll just be adding these throughout, and then I'll be adding in some trees and some bushes so that some of the open spaces that isn't paved over by concrete of pavement is really bushy, because there's nothing else out here. But yeah, I intend to go pretty heavy with these decals. We'll do something like this, and then we'll go for the bushes. And I think for starters, we're just gonna select a very wide selection, increase the brush size, disable Anarchy, and then just kind of spam these and then move in, maybe with Anarchy on, so that I can create small clusters of bushes as well. Yeah, so this creates like a nice initial layer, and then we can grab one of the bigger variants here, enable Anarchy, and add the... Oh, I need to disable one of these options though, so that they don't stack on top of each other. But otherwise, just add these clusters in here. And if I'm being slightly philosophical, nature will find a way, so these bushes will peek through wherever they can, wherever it isn't completely wrecked by pavement and concrete. And then I'm hopeful that a bit of appliance of some of these awesome custom textures here. Let's see, maybe these riverbed textures from Sully is going to add a bit more to the effect. Yep, that's just what I need. So I'm just gonna add these at random to kind of break up the add-on of the grass. But I think in conjunction with this grass, this particular grass theme I'm using, then things just kind of look detailed out of the box, which is fantastic. It's what I want. And it reduces the need for excessive detailing, I find at least. I'll be upgrading with a good old European roundabout here and just adjust the farm to accommodate for this. Because yeah, there's gonna be traffic issues here. There already is traffic issues, so I might as well just do this quickly and see if this can actually help fix it. Maybe, maybe not. We'll see. I don't want to do like a big type of interchange right now, as I am just about to wrap up this episode so that it doesn't get completely out of control lengthwise. So just doing a little manual adjustment here and there, and then I am just gonna add a few trees, because trees cover up all the imperfections you might face. It's the easiest way to master detailing. Or at least pretend you have mastered detailing. Alright, that certainly helps. So I'm hopeful that the roundabout here is gonna add a bit more throughput, because there's quite a lot of traffic coming in from this connection here to Smith River, and that's of course because this is connected to a different city entirely, so they don't even share volume at all. Alright, I think that's actually a pretty cool feature. You can just create a ton of outside connections, and it's gonna be to new cities, so you can really get a ton of intercity traffic through your region. And it seems that the coal piles randomly spawn and despawn, so hopefully this is a game feature, game mechanic to showcase a bit of activity. Alternatively, my game has bugged out by some of the terraforming or detailing I've done, in which case I hope I'm not screwed. Either way, I'm gonna wrap up this episode now. I want to thank you guys so much for the participation, the engagement, all the comments, all the likes and all that good stuff. I want to thank you guys so much for watching. I'll do my best to shoot some cinematics of this new industrial development, and I hope to see you all in the next one. Goodbye.